What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. So today we are going to be talking about an amusement park I haven't talked about on this channel for a while, and I really don't know why. It's one of the biggest and best parks in the country, and it's pretty close to me as well. As you know, I like to nitpick sometimes, and today I kinda wanted to dig into that. To say the least, Kings Island is a beautiful Cedar Fair park, and they have kept most of the park up to date. I mean, look at some of the areas. You have Rivertown, covered in beautiful scenery and amazing rides like the Beast, Diamondback, and Mystic Timbers. You also have the Coney Mall, which is a very up-to-date area but also provides that retro feel. You also have that place remodeled every once in a few years, and you just had that recent Racer retrack. It looks absolutely magnificent. And then, finally, you have Main Street. This has got to be one of the most beautiful areas of any theme park ever. From the absolutely beautiful stores to the amazing 300-foot tall Eiffel Tower, this whole area is magnificent and very stunning. But there was always an area that I found to be a little off-putting compared to the rest of the park. Why is that? Well, it's outdated. It was mainly developed by Paramount in the 1990s, but nowadays, in the 2020s, it still feels like Paramount. And with a lack of trees and scenery, I feel like it definitely needs an uplift. This is the Action Zone. If you're not too familiar, this is the area with Banshee, Bat, and Vertigo, the Extreme Skyflyer, and the Drop Tower. Now, with the rest of the park having such an amazing natural beauty to it, this is a really contrasting area. Because while the rides here are great, I honestly do not like the look of this area. Like I said, it feels like it's going back to the 1990s, but not in a retro way, but more of like an outdated way. So today in this video, I want to talk about 1. What I think could happen in the future, and 2. What I would personally do to this area. And it's not just me either. When I ask a few people, what would you change to Kings Island? Many people would say the Action Zone, as it does look pretty different from the up-to-date rest of the park. So let's get into this video. This is Cedar Flags, and today, I'm going to share how I would fix Action Zone at Kings Island. So first, let's talk about some of the minor changes. Changes that wouldn't be its own separate category, but just some minor upkeep changes over the next few seasons. So first, we should add a few more trees here. I feel like this area is pretty barren, and while there are a lot of shade opportunities, this area doesn't have as many trees as some of the other more beautiful areas within the park. Now, I'm not saying trees equal beautiful, but a lack of trees this much is kind of an eyesore. Second off, I would love to see some rides be rethemed in this area. Now, I think the roller coasters are fine, but rides like the Extreme Skyflyer and the Drop Tower, I think desperately need a retheme. Both of them are incredible rides in their own merit, but at the same time, I feel like their themes are a little outdated. When it comes to the Sky Coaster, also known as the Extreme Skyflyer, I think that it could use an uplift very similar to its sister park Cedar Point and what they did to their Sky Coaster. If you don't know, they used to have a Sky Coaster called Ripcord, and then they relocated it within the park and called it Professor Dilbert's Frontier Fling. It has a whole theme to it, and I think Kings Island should do that as well. The Drop Tower, while very intimidating, I think should be a re-theme as well. Now, I think it should still retain that Drop Tower theme, but make it a little more elaborate and a little more vibrant and more up to date. Now, I think out of all of these, I think the biggest problem with this area is the empty space in between the rest of the area and the Bat Arrow Suspended Coaster. Now, if you haven't been to Kings Island, you gotta realize that the Bat, the Arrow Suspended Coaster, is way off in its own corner of the park. There's a little thin passageway that leads to it, and then a long, narrow midway. It's very awkward, and I think it would be better if they implemented this area with more. Maybe a new set of shops, maybe a new gift shop in general, maybe you could have a whole new plaza in this area, or maybe you could have a new ride, but I'll talk about that later in the video. So, like I said in the last part of the video, I would love to see a different theme in this area. But as opposed to a few rides being rethemed, I would love to see a major retheme with this area in general, changing its name from Action Zone to something of a particular topic. Now, if you don't know, Paramount's Kings Island named this Action Zone and make it seem kind of like a studio backlot for stunt doubles. And it worked when it had rides like Face Off and Stunt Tower, but now with some of the more updated rides in Cedar Fair's reign over Kings Island, I don't think the name really works too well. So what could they do? Well, Cedar Fair has been doing this with a lot of areas, including an area in Kings Island opening up this year. I think that in the next few years, Kings Island is going to take advantage of this, and I definitely think they should. They should definitely retheme this action zone area and make it up to date. So what would they retheme it to? My first idea was a haunted area. Nothing too scary, but just something like a haunted hill area, or something that implies some ghost or spirit. Maybe theme the whole area to surround Banshee, which originally had a pretty haunted theme, and I think it still retained that haunted theme as well. With rides like Banshee and the Bat, and maybe a retheme to some of their other rides, I think they could pull it off. Another one with the inverted coasters would be a sky-themed area, maybe something similar to Aeronautica Landing. You have the Sky Coaster, the Drop Tower, you have a lot of attractions in this area dealing with flight, directly or indirectly. So naturally, I think I would love to see something in this area that would depict something surrounding a flying aspect. Because Aeronautica Landing at Carowinds, which just opened up, looks absolutely beautiful to say the least. And I think if they implemented something like that here at Kings Island, I think it would look absolutely marvelous. Finally, let's get to the big thing. A ride in this area that I feel like is a little out of place is Invertigo. Now, Kings Island is a great park with amazing elite coasters, but at the same time, I feel like a ride like Invertigo doesn't really belong in a park like this. I think that this ride will be the next to go, just because of its low capacity and the fact that it really isn't as popular as it was back in the late 1990s. So what could replace Invertigo? Well, I feel like with the smaller plot of land, you would naturally see a smaller ride, but still something big to its ascent. I would say a ride that would be good here would be an S&S 40 free spin. I could more likely, though, see a flat ride in this area, something massive like a Mondial Avalanche or something along that. It could be the first in the United States. So there's another area I want to talk about, and I was mentioning it earlier in the video. That massive plot of land in between Banshee and the Bat. It's vacant, it's deserted, and if you don't know, it once had a roller coaster here, known as Son of Beast. And it is very much an eyesore. You could see the old station for Son of Beast, you walk by the old queue line for Son of Beast, and it really just doesn't look like too nice of an area. And I don't know if I'm too comfortable with the contrast of that and the rest of the park looking absolutely magnificent. So, I say we add something new here. Along with the shops and restaurants I said earlier, I think that we should add a new coaster here. There is so much land to work with here, so I naturally think that a new roller coaster would be the best fit here. But, what kind of coaster? I specifically think that a launch coaster would work perfectly here, whether it be a new Zamperla Lightning model, similar to what they're doing with Top Thrill Dragster but ground up, or something like a Mack launch coaster. Why don't we take it a step further? Why don't we add a Mack Extreme Spinner here? I mean, there's not an Extreme Spinner anywhere near that area. Yes, there is Time Traveler, but at the same time, that is a decent drive. In fact, there aren't really any major spinning coasters in that general area. Before I end the video, I just want to say that this was not any hate towards Kings Island. This is just my personal opinion, and I think most of Kings Island does not reflect what I think on Action Zone. Anyways, until next time, you can click the link in the description for social media accounts and merch. But until next time, this is Cedar Flags, and I'll see you all later.